Welcome. If you've clicked on this channel, it means that you are interested in Darkness Emergent. Or maybe you stumbled here by accident clicking on vampire content. Maybe somehow my video popped up after you were watching some of my other character videos. But if you've clicked on this video, then you are interested in the event known as Darkness Emergent, which will be taking place this year in LA from May 20th through May 25th. Maybe you've been to a Darkness Emergent before and you're just kind of wondering like what somebody else's experience was. But most likely you've clicked on this because you're doing your research, you've heard about the event, you want to know if it's worth the money to go. You want to know if it is worth the money to go play vampires with a bunch of other adults who want to play vampires. The answer is yes, it is definitely worth it. I previously did a series of these videos where I reacted right after Darkness Emergent, and I learned that that was maybe a mistake because I went on for like 3 hours on Twitch on a live stream. So I've decided to remake this video in a much smaller format. I'll be doing this video. I'll be doing a character backstory video at some point, maybe other character backstories for this channel, but primarily I will be doing like this reaction video to the event, which happened back in November, as well as a recap of what happened to my character in a different video. So let's jump into this one because you are interested in what sorts of things go on at Darkness Emergent. So first off, it is a multi-night event, usually with 2 main gameplay nights and a bunch of additional add-ons, which you can purchase to kind of customize and tailor your experience. It is called a roleplay experience or a vampire experience or a LARP experience more than just a single night event. So if you go and the only thing that you're interested in is roleplaying, that's absolutely fine. There are 2 nights of that, and you can get that kind of on the base level ticket, which varies in price, but is generally very affordable. And that ticket will allow you to 2 nights of the event. There are step ups from there. Usually you have essentially what's called like a neonate ticket or like an ancilla ticket, which is kind of the base level. And then beyond that, you'll have the elder ticket. The elder ticket normally gets you into a 3rd night of role playing. And then above that, there's going to be like the Methuselah ticket, which can get you into special dinners and special meetings. And then above that, the Antediluvian ticket, which will generally get you like full bore experience, special privileges. You might show up in a helicopter. I did the Methuselah ticket, so I'm going to be talking a little bit about that and what my experience was with that. So if you're interested in purchasing the Methuselah package in Los Angeles, it will be different than the Methuselah package in Atlanta, but it won't be too different. So we're going to talk a little bit about kind of what I got with my package, and what kind of add-ons I got as well, and kind of how much we enjoyed them. So I went with my partner. We both wanted to enjoy this experience. We were both huge Vampire fans. We've been playing tabletop for 3+ years. I myself have been storytelling this game for 5-6 years, and on top of that, we had recently kind of joined and even had to temporarily take over our LARP troop. So we were definitely interested in going and meeting the special guests and falling in with the community, and all of that. Now, the first thing that I will say is if you are interested in this community, if you are interested in this game, join the Discord. There is a Discord for Darkness Emergent. It is extremely valuable. You will meet lots of friends. You will learn a lot about the community. There is a lot of assistance, a lot of helpers, a lot of people that can really help you kind of get your feet wet and understand everything in the event, as well as make friendships, possibly find like people you could share rooms or go to dinner with. Because sometimes this is in a different city and you're going to want to know people in that city. I myself have never been to LA. I had been to Atlanta multiple times, but I still wanted friends in Atlanta. So that being the case, definitely join the Darkness Emergent Discord. Definitely look at the different ticket levels before really signing up for any of this, because it's going to give you a great feel for everything that you're going to run into while you're there. Now, beyond that, as I said, I got the Methuselah ticket. So the very first night we arrived was actually Wednesday, and the game didn't start until Thursday. So we arrived on Wednesday after months and months of planning, hopping onto the Discord, making friendships, developing character ties with other characters, developing plots that we wanted to play on the floor and work on. all kinds of stuff like that. We arrived on Wednesday, and there was a meetup for one of the players' birthdays. But they do this meetup every time. We just happen to be celebrating one of the players' birthdays. That's my dog who's over here. If you can see him. Um, and so we went out, we had dinner, met up with a bunch of friends, then met up with kind of the greater group, went out for drinks, went to a second location for drinks. Everybody had a great time. We were all celebrating. We were all introducing ourselves to the other players, which I recommend 100%. Get there a day early, learn everybody's names, have a moment to interact with people when you're not in character. Because sometimes you may be playing a combative character or a particularly interesting monster, and you don't want everyone's first reaction to be you in that, because sometimes that could lead to bleed. Maybe they don't like that character. But if you get there ahead of time and you make kind of build relationships with people, then everybody knows you're all just there to have fun, right? And in general, everyone knows we're all there to have fun anyways. But the more you participate in kind of the group meetups and stuff, the more fun you're definitely going to have. Because one of the things with Darkness Emergent is it is a consent first role playing game, which every game should be, but not every game is. And that means that a lot of things, everything from death happening to your character, to combative scenes, to losing and winning, sometimes you have to check in with the player and make sure that they're going to be on board with that. In fact, you should always check in with the player if you feel like you're going to be infringing upon that player's agency at all, or putting them in a situation that might make somebody uncomfortable. If you're going to be raising your voice or displaying outward, physical energy, you're going to want to check in with that player first. And that's a big deal. And so meeting up with people ahead of time lets you really work out what those people are comfortable with. And even if you should still check, but it helps get some of all of that out in the open. And people will know, you're really just here to have fun ahead of time. So definitely go to the meetup. Definitely be careful how hard you go at the meetup, because I am old and I went too hard at the meetup. But it is a great time. Everyone is lovely. Now, the next day, Thursday would be the first kind of opening night for Atlanta. And what we did there was something called the Dinner with Darkness. So on the Methuselah ticket, you get this. In the past, it's just been a dinner with kind of special guests and people who are connected to the game. But now it's actually in character. And so we arrived, we got to participate in character in a dinner, where we got to meet all of the special guests. We had a Bridget Jeffries was one of those special guests. Mark Meir was one of those special guests. We had if you know the YouTuber Miss Magitech, she was one of our special guests. So we had quite a few special guests. We had a writer for the books that was there, and a lot of people that wanted to remain kind of unannounced as far as like them being there. But we had a ton. They play the NPCs, but sometimes they play the bigger NPCs. They were all announced ahead of time, so the guest list for LA that's already been announced is a lot of the characters that are tied in with LA by Night. So we've got B. Dave Walters already announced, Cynthia Marie already announced, Xander has already been announced. Erica Ishii is now in it. Jason Carl has now been announced. Louis Carrazzo has been announced. So major stacked lineup for Los Angeles. If you've ever wanted to meet any of those people, definitely sign up for this event. They will be playing characters, and once you get on the floor, it's just organic to go up and interact with these characters. It's not weird. You don't have to be shy about it. They're playing a character. They're having a fun game. You're playing a character. You're having a fun game. Obviously, you don't want to be weird and follow those people the whole entire time, but I don't think that's going to happen. The community is all great, and we haven't run into any issues really like that. So everybody's just there to have a great time, and you will get to meet these special guests. And if you go to the dinner, you'll get to meet these special guests in a more intimate setting, less overall people. Everybody's there for a dinner. And you'll often get sat next to specific NPCs. You'll get to engage in character conversations with them. In Atlanta, we had the Prince make a little bit of a speech. Victoria Ash made a little bit of the speech. And so that was great. That was a fun time while we were at the dinner table. Which, vampires don't eat, but you suspend your disbelief for that, just to engage in the great role play. And fantastic food, by the way. It's like very high quality. And it was amazing. Um, so we did that. And then Thursday night after the dinner with Darkness, there's a smaller event, actually larger by the group of people that show up, but you can get it on the Elder ticket. So the very next event is a larger event, and that is called Meet the Authority or Meet the Court, depending. That was about 3 hours of role play. If you have the Elder ticket, you showed up, I think, at 7:30 to start that. For the Methuselahs, we got there at 5 for the dinner. So the role play time continued on until about 11, and it was a bunch of people just on the floor. Everybody who bought the Elder ticket and up, interacting, getting to know each other's characters. A couple of the main plots that were going to be happening during the week were introduced, but they can't be advanced during this time. They won't be advanced until everybody is on the floor for the main game nights. So we started hearing whispers of this or that. Maybe there was going to be a competition for this. Maybe there was going to be something happening to the Malkavian clan. But for the most part, we just got to kind of sat around and meet people again, but this time in character. You got to interact, kind of try your character on, and get an extra night of role playing. Beyond that, we went to a lounge called the Seraphim Lounge, which was one of the salon role plays, which is kind of just like a hangout at a bar after the game. It's soft in character. It was like a dance party. We got to go to a dance club and be our vampires, or not. If you didn't want to, they had a designated area for that. You could drink during the event. You could dance during the event. There were things going on. There was like a scavenger hunt going on. There was like a bingo for accomplishing tasks for new players going on. There was a raffle contest at the end of the night that was going on. My partner actually won a very nice, nicely decorated bottle of wine that one of the main kind of player slash hosts of the event was kind of auctioning off. And that was a cool story beat. So there's a lot that goes on that first night for Elder and Methuselahs, and we had a great time for that. And then Friday, we had signed up for a photo package, which I would definitely recommend. Again, in the past, the photo packages would normally just kind of show up and get photos taken. But this time they decided to keep it in character. It was this whole event where a famous Childer Toreador was a photographer, and we were all being photographed for basically like Kindred Weekly or something like that. It was completely safe. You know, you have to suspend your disbelief. Kindred letting their faces get put into like a magazine, but it was fun and in the moment, enough role play to kind of lean into. But the big role play kind of happened when you weren't taking photos. There's an in-character role play, and this was amazing because again, it was salon style. So I want to say there were 15 people, which was a very good setting for active role play, right? Some of the Darkness Emergent big nights are like 2, 3, 400 people. You don't get to talk to everybody at the event. You really kind of end up shepherded along whatever path you're taking. But at the salon, you just have 4 hours or so to hang out with people. Snacks are provided, drinks are provided, and we just kind of talked along in character and cut at each other, you know, our characters, and got to know everybody a little bit better. And that was an excellent time. That was some of the best role play I enjoyed because it was so intimate with some of the characters that you got to dig a little bit more into other characters' backstories and things like that. Um, and then Friday night, the main game happened. So after the photo shoot, we all ran straight to the game where I donned this outfit and we started playing. And you kind of hit the floor running. Like they give you about an hour in your faction. So this is a faction based game outside of just the sect that you align with. A lot of the gameplay happens in your faction. Your faction is selected from a list of they have various descriptions and agendas and flavors to them and gameplay styles. So a lot of times the flavor informs the gameplay style. There's a group called the Chimera Group, which spies on everybody, so you're going to be playing a spy thriller. There's a group called the Executive Board, which controls money and politics. So you're going to be playing a little bit of a political, maybe sway game. I was in a group known as the Midnight Congregation, which was a congregation of cults together who were trying to establish some level of peace amongst the cults. And our game was literally how that was going to fall apart. These factions are ongoing, so it's not like you're there for your faction to fall apart every time. But ours was on a crash course for sure. So we immediately hear about a powerful elder called the Iconoclast that we had to hunt down, or figure out how to stop. And we learned that multiple groups had been attacked in the city and people had died, and we needed to go find witnesses and find a story and try and track down what was happening. And it was crazy. And in the end, we learned that we were pretty much pawns being used by the greater organization to attack each other, which was fun, and definitely a little about face. But that's just kind of a spoiler as to what some of the plots could end up being at Darkness Emergent. But you get an hour of the first night to interact with your faction. Then after that, you hit the ground running. So the game starts usually at 6. You interact with your faction from 6 to 7. And then around 7 o'clock, everybody's in the same space. And until 11, you're going to be scrambling around trying to complete whatever objectives you have. This is also when you will be interacting with anybody you pre-planned, like stories or backstory ties or events with. I had another player come up to me that I had formed a backstory with, and they had gotten involved in something bad and they needed some help, and I was trying to figure out what was going on with my faction plot. And then on top of that, there are a bunch of major events that are happening that I was hearing about and circling around and trying to help people. So I got to role play with probably 8 of the 15 people I intended to role play with, because it was wild. Everybody was marching in a different direction constantly. Some people were sitting down and just enjoying and vibing, and they weren't trying to accomplish any objective. And then some of us were running around like chickens with our heads cut off. But at the end of the day, it was a lot of fun. And so we did that. We did the full role play. At 11, we cut for a rave. So everybody went and changed clothes, and there was an off-site rave. I did not go to the rave. The rave was open to everybody, but I had already experienced what drinking too much can do to me in a weekend, so I decided to cut that, and heal my liver, as I am in my 30s. So I didn't go to the rave, but I heard from everybody that went to the rave that it was amazing, and there are outfits from the rave up on their website, so you can check that out if you want to see a little bit about the vibe. Um, Instead, I went home and worked on my fiance's plot, because her plot was wild and about spies, and so I worked with her on hers, a little in and out of character, because our characters are also partners, and that was great. And then Saturday, we actually changed venues, and we all hit the ground running. And there was an excellent major event. There was a trial event going on, that a lot of the players had really engaged with, and it kind of took a little bit of center stage, and things revolved around that for the first half. But there was a lot of scheming and dealing and whispering going around in the background of the trial. That's where I was. I was in scheming, dealing, and whispering and setting up deals and all kinds of spying on people, and that was fantastic. And uh, there was also a group meetup before that night called Vampires and Vino, which I got on the Methuselah ticket as well, which was an excellent event where we just all were served wine, and there was like some charcuterie, and we met with the head storyteller Jimmy Rickett, who gave us kind of a PowerPoint explanation as to everything they had learned about running LARPs, over their the breadth of their career doing this, which is a lot of great information for anybody who's running a home game or interested in running a home game, or even a major event. That was fantastic. So skipped over that a little bit. My apologies. And also, I played in a side game, which did cost extra, run by the lovely Cynthia Marie, who plays Nellie G. And that was a fantastic game. We all had a great time with that, where we were playing vampires kind of in like Atlanta and alternate timeline, different characters than we brought to the main Atlanta game. So that was interesting, because you got to play multiple characters in a weekend. You got to play with a celebrity. They were the storyteller. We were all playing characters in their game. Got to meet that person, talk to them a little bit about just who they are and what got them into everything. So a little more intimate setting with meeting a special guest if you're interested in that. Usually a lot of the guests might run a game. So skipped over Saturday, my apologies. But those two events were huge and had a lot of fun with those even before hitting the main floor. Now, the main floor game went well. I had to cut out early due to some life events, but everything that I got to stay and play for was phenomenal. Played till about 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock out of the 11. And then after that, there was a karaoke night, which I'd been super looking forward to. But due to the life stuff, had to kind of cut that short as well. Wasn't able to go to that. But I was able to make the end of event meeting, which was on Sunday, which was kind of like a wrap up meeting. So overall, I mean, it was a fantastic weekend down in Atlanta. As far as budget and everything like that, there were high budget players, low budget players. As far as outfits, it ran the spectrum. Most of my outfits I picked up at Goodwill for like under $25. Sometimes I would have one piece that stood out that was a more expensive piece that was like the center point of the outfit. But character of Sephaster, I was able to dress pretty fancy like, and probably cost me $30 an outfit. So um, was very much a great time. There was a little bit of an economic commitment with the price of the tickets, with the hotel stay, and now that it's going to be in Atlanta, there's going to be a flight. It is something that you have to make sure that you are financially ready for, but it's definitely worth the price of admission. Every you will get your money's worth out of every ticket level. It's really just a matter of buy-in at the end of the day, and how committed you are to having a great time. Because if you hop on the Discord and set everything up, um, you're going to meet a great community. And this community is one of the best communities in terms of accepting people and making sure that everybody has a great time. So that's a little bit about my experience at Darkness Emergent. I'll be putting out another video where I get more in depth in what happened to the character of Sephaster during this week. But I want to try and keep this video a little short because I know I have a tendency to run really long, and I want to try and keep these around 20 minutes each. So that you can really hone in on what it is that you're interested in. Thanks for watching this video. Like and subscribe if you want to help me out. I'll be posting more content. If you like this content, if this was helpful to you, please leave a comment down letting us know if you're going to go to Darkness Emergent. And if you're going to go to Darkness Emergent, let us know if you're a returning player or a brand new player, and if this video helped you make a decision. Thanks.